So this video is about how I got on with my first ever gimbal, this Hohem iSteady MT2 to give it its full title. This is the 4-in-1 gimbal with AI tracking. If, like me, you thought about getting a gimbal but weren't quite sure what it was like or how to use it, then this video is for you. So if you've got one of these, a GoPro Hero 12 or any other GoPro or any other action camera, you might also be thinking about, or if you've got one of these, this is a compact camera. This is a Sony ZV1, the original one, with its wide angle, Ulanzi wide angle adapter. Of course, everyone's got a smartphone, haven't they? This gimbal will support all of those cameras, and it will also support bigger cameras as well. It does take up to 1.5 kilograms of weight on this, so this is why this is a 4-in-1 gimbal. Now, as usual, there's a bit of a disclaimer here. I've been sent this gimbal for free for review, but I'm not being paid to say anything nice about it, so I'm going to give you my honest opinion, the pros and cons of it, and particularly if you've never used a gimbal before, I'm really going to look at how easy it is to set up and to use for a first time gimbal user. So I'm going to look at what's in the box, why you might want a gimbal, setting up a gimbal and balancing a gimbal, the controls and buttons, and finally I'll give you my opinion on how I've found using a gimbal for the first time and let you know what I think of it. Let's have a look what's in this box. Now, I've used GoPros ever since I started making YouTube videos. This is the current incarnation of the Hero 12. I'm filming this on a Hero 11, and I've had Hero 10, I've had Hero 8, 7, 6 and 5, so I'm a bit of a GoPro fanboy. Now, the great thing about GoPro is its stabilisation, so however you move it about, it's fairly stable. That stabilisation tends to fall apart when you're in low light. So I was quite interested in using a gimbal to actually do the stabilisation rather than relying on the GoPro to do the stabilisation, particularly when you're in low light. Now, I've done some video in low lights, so I'm just going to show you that so you can perhaps get an idea how this might work for you. So I'm in the graveyard, sun's starting to come up, so there's a bit of light. I've got the Hero 12 with no stabilisation set up on the GoPro itself, just the stabilisation from the gimbal. I'm wondering what it looks like compared to the footage I've got just walking along gently with the Hero 11 that's got full stabilisation, the so-called auto boost on the GoPro, and I'm wondering what the footage looks like from the two, so we're going to do a little comparison. Got the doggies with us as well, and on leads before anyone says anything. Not going to be going on any graves or anything, and they are allowed in the graveyard, otherwise it wouldn't be here. I always think of Doctor Who when I see this one here. And as you can possibly see just on the horizon, the sun's coming up. The other thing, of course, with having a GoPro on the chest mount is you can't easily turn around to look at things. Just got the forward facing sort of look. That's a nice one here. Go. I've got the GoPro on the pan tilt function. It means it will look up for you as well as pan to the left and to the right. Boy, that's spooky. One of the reasons for trying out a gimbal, or at least being interested in a gimbal, is that for the GoPro it should improve the stabilisation. I mean, what I'm filming on at the moment, there's no stabilisation set up at all. I'm just holding it at a bent arm's length here because it's on a fairly wide setting. Low light, obviously the sun's not up yet, and wonder what it looks like. This pan tilt mode is very useful, like, you know, if you just want to look up as well. Let's keep it stable on the horizon. Yeah, I'm very impressed with it. So I hope you found that interesting. I'm going to come to some conclusions very shortly, but I just really wanted to do a little bit of filming with the GoPro. I've still got a little filming to do with the phone, but that should be similar to the GoPro, but we'll give that a go as well. Let's get back and get a coffee, eh? Tea? Tara? Tara, come on.
Now the Sony ZV1, when it came out, is one of the sort of the best compact cameras, I think, but its stabilisation is pretty awful, really, if I'm perfectly honest with you. It's only really good if you can hold it fairly still. If you tend to be walking with it, the stabilisation just completely falls apart. The newer Sonys are a bit better, but this is a fairly expensive camera as far as I'm concerned for what still is a hobby for me. And this really could do with some stabilisation. So I've filmed a little bit about using the Sony on the gimbal and how I got on. The gimbal does the stabilisation for you, and you can actually turn off what stabilisation you've got on the Sony, because quite honestly it's probably not worth it. So let's have a look at that.
Chance I've had to try out the gimbal, Hohem MT2.
This is Hesketh Park in Southport. First sort of bit of weather we've had that's halfway decent. I'm just using the basic pan follow mode, the PF mode. It just sort of follows where you point it. And do that. It should now follow me wherever I go. See how we get on. Like that. Not at all self-conscious. People seeing me walking around with this great big thing in my hand. Let's see if we can use the zoom a little bit here. That's good. Just looking along, holding it down. This is lock mode, and it just locks in the same direction whichever way you go. It's quite interesting. Point of view setting, and it sort of, when you turn it, it sort of follows. Sort of, if I want to turn around, just physically turn around, and sort of catch up with you. Not sure about that. Well, let's go back to and follow them. You get used to that. See if we can zoom out a bit. There we go. Didn't bring me wide angle lens, so it's quite difficult to fit things in. There you go. And you can see left and right. I don't think I've ever been in there. What? Okay. There's a mess here, isn't there? A garden or something. Oh, that's a shame. Yeah, that's not bad. First outing. Nice to get out in the bloody sunshine for a change. Let's see how we get on. Little railway line.
It's where we went, wasn't it, with
Yeah.
Alison and
Pete.
Glyn and
Glenn and
Kaz
Alison
and Pete
and Sharon.
and Sharon, yeah.
Oh, you want to get going then?
Go on. Right.
Go on then.
Stop it.
Yeah, that's the big wheel we're on. Try zooming in now. Right, it's a good test of the gimbal, isn't it? How steady it is. Really zoomed in there. That's the maximum end of the zoom. Yeah, go on, you can say what you like.
You say what I like, honestly.
Honestly, yeah.
I feel like I'm part of a film crew.
Yeah.
You know, filming a football match or
Yeah.
filming something.
Well, people might think you're a real professional and get out
well,
your way.
yeah, they might think that, but it's not going after them.
Just walk alongside them. You think it's following the swans?
Probably.
You do the OK symbol, swans. First impressions really, like I say, it's quite heavy. You do feel a bit conspicuous, especially walking around like this. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying it. It's quite fun. Oh, it's blooming cold.
And it is, isn't it? Got a lot of wind noise probably.
Yeah, that's right. Sort of drilling and buzzing going on. Who knows, it might be open by the summer one day.
Be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah, doing some sort of work on the structure, aren't they?
Yep.
Well, that work might be, but there you go. Now I've used my Samsung phone for making some videos, but a bit like the Sony, the stabilisation is not that brilliant. It's a little bit shaky, particularly when you're zoomed in on the phone. So I think the gimbal will really help if you've got a smartphone, and I've got a little bit of video on that. Ow, that's my foot. I'm going to show you how I balance this Sony ZV1 on the gimbal. And this is the heaviest camera I've got, so it's probably the easiest to show you. Now I'm going to need a few accessories. The first thing is the mounting plate. This is the mounting plate that goes on the L bracket, so I need that. I need an adapter here, this little thing here, and the reason for that is that the lens on the camera actually bumps against the L bracket. This thing here bumps against the L bracket. So all I'm going to do here is I'm going to put the bracket on the bottom there, and we'll try and get it so that the bracket is facing forward. And there's a little thumb screw on the bottom of this, and up here there is a little magnetic key. Really, it's a bit of a screwdriver. It's very useful. It's always there on this magnetic mount, so you can make sure you've got it. So what you do here is you can actually use this. Can actually use that to tighten it up initially, and you want to try and get this as straight as possible and tighten that up, and then you can use this to give it a good tighten, so you don't really want that moving. Now this gimbal now is in its locked position, so we're going to just unlock it so I can move it around. There's a lock, there's 3 locks. One here, and that locks this bit here. There's one here, and that locks that bit there, and the one in the middle is that one there. Slide the camera on. You want it facing forward, but like I say, I nearly forgot, you want the camera switched on, and you want its mic. I'm going to put the mic adapters on it. So I've got the DJI mic adapter here. I'm going to put that on the hot shoe like I normally do with that, and make sure I've got actually I want it the other way around. That way around. And I want the thing plugged into the camera. There's a little thing on the side of that. There we go. Plug it in, switch it on. I'll leave the lens cap on for now because you might get your fingers on it. And what you do is you slide it into this sort of area here. I don't know if I can show you that. It's sort of a slidey area, and this just slides on. See, I've forgotten to unlock. There's an unlock lever here, and that actually locks it in place. So let's put that on there, and we'll move it. And we'll just lock that for now. Okay, so it's going to go all floppy now. Right, so what I want to do now is I'm going to lock the axes, so the pan axis and the tilt axis, and I want it in the sort of position we're going to be using it, and so I want it in that sort of position like that. So the other thing I've noticed obviously is you need to allow a bit of space here with the camera, because my camera's got all the connections on this side, which makes it a little bit awkward. I've seen other people mounting this and they've been able to put it right up to the edge because they've got just the thumb grip on there, but I've got the connections on there. Now you can move this, if I unlock this lever, you can move this backwards and forwards on this sort of thing here. So that's how you do that. And if you move that one there, that allows you to move it backwards and forwards. So the first thing you've got to do to balance it is you've got to balance it so it stays in position when it's up there. Now you can see it's going back that way. Now there's a lock. See, this is the thing here that I need to tighten that up a bit more. But there's a lock lever here, and that allows us to move the whole L bracket backwards and forwards. My guess is that that needs to be further back that way a bit more, and I'm just sort of, difficult to show you, but I'm just sort of moving this bracket, sliding this bracket upwards and downwards, and we want it just so that it sort of stays where it is. Sometimes it's quite difficult because the bracket is quite stiff as well. That's it, and then you lock this lever. It's anti-clockwise to lock it, so it's balanced in the vertical, if you like. Next thing is to balance it this way. So that's a little bit more tricky, because you've then got to go to this lock lever here, and you want to slide the plate backwards and forwards until, there we are, until it's pretty well balanced there. It might tilting forward a little bit, so I just want to push it back a bit more. There's some helpful markings on all of these plates, and once you've got a camera balanced, you can then use that to remember where it was balanced. It's a little bit that way, so I want to push it forward. That's it, and that's pretty much balanced now. I can now go and lock that position because I know it's roughly in the right position. What I want to do now is I want the tilt axis balanced. So unlock it at the back here, and that allows this tilt axis. Now you can see it's going way over there. So unlock this red lever and you can move the whole arm to the right here. I'm going to have to move it quite a way. I think last time I had the GoPro on here, so quite a different balance. And that's not bad. A little bit more. Let's touch more. And then, yeah, that's it. It doesn't have to be perfectly exact. You can adjust it later in the software, in the controls. You can make a slight adjustment, but you want it roughly. Now the final one is this axis here. Now I'm going to lock that axis again, so before I do that I'm going to lock that axis. So I've locked these two axes, and what I want to do is I want the pan axis to be balanced, and the way they say to do that is to unlock it first and you tilt it forward. And what you don't want it to do, and this is pretty good actually, you don't want it swinging too much, and you want to move this backwards and forwards. I suppose if I go way to the other side, I'll show you what happens when it's not right. It goes like that, so you know that's not right. So I think it's about 1 on this scale here, and that's pretty much it. So unlock all the axes, and it should stay pretty much where it is without switching the gimbal on. So that's balancing, and that's the thing I found the hardest to learn how to do, and it takes some practice. And if you change the camera often, so I'm not sure how long that was, probably a minute or so, a minute and a half. I can probably look when I do the edit on this video, but it's something you need to learn how to do and to be confident doing it. and then you can switch the gimbal on, and it dings to let you know it's switched on. Now what we want to do is what's called auto calibration, and what you do with that to do auto calibration is you press the M button on the back here. So this is the M button here, so press this 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and it bings and goes into calibrate, and it dings if it's successful. So that's pretty much it. You're now ready to go. Yeah, so a final check if your stabiliser is to go into what's called ICP mode. So what you do there is you press the M button 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And it does this ICP. Now if it will roll round, it's a 360-degree spin and it will carry on rolling round. If it will roll round whilst you're holding it like that, then you know it's ready. I'll just press the mode button to stop it doing that, and it's spun round, and there we go. Now obviously I can switch the camera on and I can do a bit of filming and figure out where the buttons are on here. There we go. That's it. Now this lead here is the Type C, which is on the gimbal, to the multi USB that connects to the camera. So got everything locked on the camera, on the gimbal. There's 2 USBs here. This one here is for controlling the camera, and that one is for charging the camera from the gimbal. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just plug it into the camera control one here, because that should allow me then to control it. Very difficult to do this one-handed. There we go. And hold the button to switch it on. It should bing, and then make sure we've got the axis unlocked. There we go. Now I can control left and right, left and right. Switch the camera on, and then that's recording. So I've now got a gimbal and I can use that, and I can start it. Right, I just realised whilst I've been editing this video that I didn't mention that you can use the gimbal in portrait mode. You can put the camera in portrait mode and use it that way. So let me just show you that. Yeah, so you can put it on the L bracket like that, and you might need to adjust these screws here, so I'm just going to do that. So that's the camera on there, and obviously you need to then balance it as you did before. Start with that axis there. Yeah, so this is a ZV1 set up in portrait mode. You can flip up the screen. Turn it the other way. You can flip up the screen, and obviously then you can see what you're looking at here. Balancing is just the same as doing it when it's in landscape mode. The only difference is the L bracket here goes on a different way. It's not a huge amount of room between the top there, so if I was going to be using it, I might actually use it in the other orientation. In other words, turn the camera the other way around. That way though, you can't use the flip screen, and if you're doing selfies, then you really want it that way. It's probably better for phones, if I'm perfectly honest. Now there is quite a useful manual that comes with the camera, so I am going to refer to the manual. So press and hold the power button for 3 seconds. You see it comes with a Hohem symbol, and once that's come on, I know it's on then. So if I press it twice, it goes into standby. There we are. So that's in standby and it's ready to go. You press it again and it comes back, and you wake it up. So the next button is the M button. This is quite important. Press the M button once and it changes the mode. So that's the lock mode, and that locks the camera in a fixed position no matter what you do with the gimbal. Press it again and that takes you into point of view mode. And point of view mode allows you to basically to use the gimbal as if you were using your eyes, so all the axes are unlocked, so whatever I do with the camera, it's going to basically go, and it will just sort of, it will stabilize the camera, but wherever I look it will look that way. Pan follow is the one that most people are going to use, and that basically means that it will follow whichever way you turn the camera. So you can see the camera will turn left and right, but the other axes tend to be held in position, so wherever you've got the camera, that way, it will stay where it is. I just turn it around, you can see it's just staying roughly where it is, but but it will turn around that way. That's pan follow. Next one is pan tilt follow, and that's similar, and that it will do the same if you turn it that way, but it will also tilt. If you go up, it will tilt up, so if you look up, it will actually follow you looking up, and then you can look down. Press it again, back to lock. The one I tend to use is pan follow, and that's the easiest one to actually use. Right, so the joystick is how you adjust the position of the camera, so how you frame the camera. You can use this up and down and what you're pointing at. So this is the trigger, so you press and hold it and that goes into sport mode, and that makes the camera much more responsive, so you get slightly jerkier movements. Let go of that and you're out of sport mode. Press it twice and it recenters the gimbal. So if you've had the gimbal off and it's perhaps gone a little bit floppy, you can switch it on. And you can press it twice and it will make sure that the gimbal's centered. And that's the zoom lever, and that will control camera zoom, assuming your camera is able to zoom with that. It works with the Sony anyway. Press it once to start recording, once to stop. Right, so the multifunction control wheel. At the moment it says we're in focus mode, and that allows us obviously to focus, and that's on compatible cameras. Again, this one doesn't seem to work with that. So, but if you press and hold it, it switches the light on. If you press it twice, it goes back to focus mode. Press it again, it's got roll, and you can actually adjust the tilt of the camera, the roll of the camera with that. Yeah, so pressing this 3 times switches between the light, pressing it again, and that allows you to adjust the temperature of the light. 5000 is about the sort of daylight temperature. 3 times, and then it gets into the RGB mode, and you press it to step between the two, adjust the brightness, press it and adjust the colour. 3 times, and then get switched between the two. Twice, and we're back to focus mode. There's 2 more buttons here, the A and B button, and they're to set the start and end point and record A/B motion time lapse. So long press the A button and that sets the position for the first one, and then move your camera to where you want it to go and press the B button and hold it, and that sets the 2 positions. Press it once, it goes back to the A position, and then press it twice and it then starts moving to the B position very slowly, and you can monitor its progress there. It's very useful for landscapes. You can set it up and you can get that to track through and give you a nice panorama. There we go, it's done. Yeah, very useful for time lapse. There are some other functions here. So if you long press the M button, it gets you into the fine adjustments, and I was saying earlier you can then decide if you want to adjust the tilt, the roll or the pan. You can do that here, and you can just so you get to the one you want and use the A and B buttons to adjust them. You can do that so you can move them up and down. Use the A and B buttons to get to the other functions there. So I honestly haven't used that. If it's auto calibrated, I've been quite happy with that. Right, so pairing mode, so you long press it again and you press the B button on the side and again, and it gets into the pairing mode, and then you can choose to pair or unpair. And I haven't paired this camera at the moment, I'm just using the control lead, but then obviously you can pair various ones. I've found with using this camera with using this gimbal with multiple cameras is that you do need to change the pairing quite often. You pair to a GoPro and then pair to a Sony. I tended to use a Sony with the lead for that reason and switch the Bluetooth off on the camera, but you're constantly pairing and unpairing if you're swapping cameras. So there is a function in here, if I can get to it, just hold the M button and I think you press this 9 times and it clears the pairing, and then if you switch the Bluetooth off in the camera that you're using and then pair, it will sort itself out. So like I say, that's one of the issues I've found with Bluetooth, but that's just Bluetooth really. Everyone has problems with Bluetooth. I want to show you how this AI tracker works, this device here. Just pull it off and switch it on. Switch it on and put it on there, and it flashes twice to say it's on, and then you've got a red light on here that tells you it's ready. And what you do is you make an OK symbol like that. Get far. Quite difficult to do holding a camera. Go like that. Go. That's it. A bit too far away, and then it will follow you. You see, it's quite weird. It will track you, and you can walk around the camera. So this is really, really useful, and I'll show you a little bit of footage now of setting up the camera. And if you're moving along and you're looking at something or pointing something out, it will follow you as you move around. This is one of the features I really like about this. Right, the final thing I want to show you is the app that comes with this, and this is really useful if you're using a phone. So I'm going to take the Sony off. I'm going to set up the phone. Right, for the phone I need this phone bracket here, and what you want to do is you want to get the phone so that the main camera is facing forwards. So that's the main camera, and what I found is that you can put it in there, and then it's just a spring-loaded thing. And I think that, no, see, I did it wrong already to start with. Get the right way round, so I want it that way round, and what I've got to be careful of is I don't catch on the power thing there. So you're limited to how far along the camera you can put it. You don't want it way over there because the actual lenses will be too far over, and you don't want it resting on the power supply. So I just put it just to the side of the power supply. Now you see I've had to move that bracket quite a way over that way. Okay, I could try and put it the other side, but then I'll have no room for the thing there. So let's balance it. Right, so I want to show you the Hohem Joy App. So I've got the phone mounted on the gimbal. I can control it with the gimbal. If I press this button here, it takes me into the app itself, and there's a few things on this app I want to look at. Obviously you've got the home button there. It's a circular thing. Turns it into selfie mode. Switches on auto, so auto ISO. That changes the resolution. This next one does object tracking. setting the camera parameters for the photo size, mirror selfie. Actually, in this you can notice, come back to there, mirror selfie. You can turn off mirror selfie. So if I press record on here and do the selfie, turn it around, can't find the selfie button now. It isn't mirrored, so I should be able to read my t-shirt. That's for choosing whether you want it close focus or not. Switches the flash on or off. Beauty not available in 4K. That's the gesture control, so you can use the gesture control on the phone itself, which is really useful if you've swung it round. And you do that symbol, and then it will follow you. Oops, lost me there. Good start. Right. Over here. Right. Over here, that's it. And do the stop symbol. Oh, there we go. 3 times to get it back. There we go. So some really useful sort of features on the phone app, and probably could spend a lot of time exploring these. It has got some what it calls moment things, and it will do Inception for you, and it'll play some music. For some reason it says press record. There we go, off it goes, doing its thing. Playing music. Great shot of the sky there. We'll see if I do it that way. There we go. And do some rotations. They also do panorama videos. Really give you an idea of what you can do with the app. Got smart time locations, dolly zoom, smart dolly zoom, so you can have lots of fun with the phone app and doing this. And not sure what night or does rain on your camera. There you go. Control the rain, wouldn't that be good? Ha. So loads of fun with this phone. Honestly, I haven't had a chance to play with it really. Just wanted to get used to using the camera, and it's a brilliant tool, it really is. I'll just switch it off for a minute. Okay, so what are my conclusions about this? Well, first of all, the drawbacks really, I think the obvious drawback is the extra work setting up the gimbal for different cameras. It is a 4-in-1 camera, so if you've got 4 cameras, you're going to be balancing each one of those every time you switch the camera. Alternatively, you could just use it for one of the cameras and occasional use for the others. I think the way I'm going to be using it is with the Sony, mainly with the Sony on there, and then occasionally perhaps with a GoPro to get some decent low light footage. Perhaps if I'm going around, you know, somewhere, a castle that's a bit dark or something, it might be really useful to use a GoPro on that. And it takes a fair bit of practice, I think, as I've demonstrated, getting used to all the controls. It is fairly complex, and I keep having to look at the manual to figure out how many times I've got to press the M button, so apologies for that. It can be quite heavy to carry around. I think Jenny said that and found it quite heavy. If you fold the tripod up, you actually can use 2 hands to hold it, and you know, it does work reasonably well with 2 hands. I think it's better if you're holding it upright. If you start holding it, you know, out a bit like that, then that's when it gets quite heavy. Of course, one of the best features is that, you know, you can use it for panoramas. You can also feel a little bit like the film crew if you know what I mean. You feel a bit intrusive, particularly walking around town with a great big gimbal like this, and people will think you're part, you know, working for some film crew or something, and behave differently. Whereas if you're walking around with a little GoPro, often they don't even notice you're carrying it. But the benefits of the gimbal is you can get shots that are completely impossible to do any other way. Things like panoramas, slow motion, dolly shots. I've not even tried dolly shots yet, but you know, there's things that you can do with this. And the AI tracking is an absolute boon if you're on your own and you know you want to be able to walk around without having to stay in a fixed position all the time. That's absolutely brilliant. The quality of the footage that I've filmed so far, I think, is pretty good. The stabilisation with it is tremendous, and I've you know, tested it with the Sony, and it does make me want to use the Sony more than I did before. And the Sony sort of sat in the bottom of my my camera bag for some time now, and perhaps I'll be getting it out a little bit more. Yeah, so very useful in low light. Final thing really is it might actually stop you wanting to buy another camera. There's lots of cameras out on the market, you know, that do things like tracking and you know, got fancy features and better stabilisation and better in low light. You know, certainly some action cameras are better than GoPro for low light footage. But you know, there's a fair investment in a new camera system. This will work with your existing cameras, and you know, unless you've got a really large camera over 1.5 kilos with its lens, this should cover most cameras. And as you can see, it will work for action cameras, it will work for phones, and it will work for compact cameras and slightly larger DSLRs. So I think for that reason, you know, people always ask me, would I buy it if I was spending my own money? The problem for me is that they've given it to me for free, so I can get to try it. And I think the honest answer is, if I'd known what I can do with it before I bought it, I would buy it with my own money. I've looked at videos that people have demonstrated how this thing works, and you know, how the controls work, and they've done all sorts of fancy shots. But until you actually try it yourself, you don't know. But I think if you're interested in getting better footage, it's a worthwhile investment. So I hope you found that useful. If you did, remember to give us a thumbs up, and you know, do the usual. I've got some more videos where I've been reviewing some of the camera gear that I've got, and you might be interested in this video here, or this video here. So thanks for watching. We'll see you soon. Bye then.